I want to see Pete Alonso hit some dingers.
And I want to see some riveting football conversation. Welcome back to Division I Rejects. This is episode 109. We are joined today by one of the newest Division I Rejects athletes, Ian Marshall from Northern State. He'll be joining us here in a few short minutes.
Fort
A few fart minutes?
Yes. In a short minutes, Ian Marshall will be joining us. He had quite the year at Northern State last year. An All-American, set their single-season sack record, single-game sack record, and quite the accolades. And we're happy to have him as part of our sponsored athletes. But before we get talking to Ian, fellas, the D3 team posted on Twitter they got a new field, but there's a reason that we're covering it. Not just because they got a new field. I mean, we could do that too. It's a nice field, but
It's pink.
it's black, which I don't love.
I mean, but this is the thing. Like, when you see it, it's way better than what
Yeah.
you really thought.
So we'll take a look at that video in a little bit here from Morrisville. We're starting today, too, with some highlights of some Division II, Division III teams. Today's picks, Pittsburg State, Division II team out of the MIAA, and then Hardin Simmons, the D3 team out of the ASC. Both of those teams we'll dive into, take a look at what kind of returners they have, what some of the key stats from this past season, and an outlook on their 2023 schedule. So just trying to provide some more of that insight and really give we do a lot of surface level analysis. I want to give just a little bit more in depth. We're not going to be experts on anything because we're not in the locker room, not with these guys, but a little bit more in depth is going to be a good change for us.
I like to say I'm an expert.
Well, in order to be an expert, you have to actually look at the teams before 15 minutes before we start doing the show.
Well,
So if you want me to out you right now, I can do that.
I already know.
He's a fast learner.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Don't
can't-
worry. Some of us have done more research than Cade. We will.
But
dive
I did
into that
find
in a
something you
little
didn't
bit.
have.
Delta
So I do
State,
have a better eye.
Delta State has a new locker room, and we'll be taking a look at that. Certainly on par with some of the best that we've seen in the Division II level out of the Gulf South there. They had a big year last year. Definitely looking to re-up on that. Offensively, they exploded in that Gulf South Conference. Finally, Mahomes. He's got a new mansion in Kansas City. That'll be our bigger football piece today. Trevor, we wanted to take a look at that one. That drone shot you sent me was
It's unreal.
it's a real deal.
Unreal.
It's unreal.
Yes.
It's unreal.
It was. So
really
we're going to
is.
take a look at that. I will mute Cade's microphone for the rest of this intro. And as always, you can watch the episode on YouTube. Don't forget, if you are watching on YouTube, use the timestamps at the bottom of the screen. Fast forward to any part of that conversation that sounds interesting, and then get the hell out or continue listening. We appreciate it. Either way, you can listen pretty much anywhere, though. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Follow us on Twitter, D1_Rejects, or on Instagram at Division I Rejects. Follow us on TikTok, Division I Rejects. Got a big collab going on there pretty soon, so you're not going to want to miss that. But before we get into any of those topics, let's go to the conversation with Ian Marshall from Northern State. Joining the show tonight, a man who came to the D2 level, came back to the D2 level, I should say, last year. He set it on fire. He was the 2022 NSIC Defensive Player of the Year. Try saying that 3 times fast. He set the single season and single game sack record at Northern State, where he was a first team All-American for the Wolves. One of the newest D1R athletes. It's Ian Marshall. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Man, how we doing? How we doing?
I'm great, man. And you might have to show the audience here. You might have to flip the camera around real quick because the view is crazy right there.
That show.
Oh,
Yeah.
come
Holy
on,
shit.
the bank.
I was looking at the best D2 stadium in the country.
Okay.
Ain't getting no
Hey, wait,
better.
wait.
They ain't gonna get no better than that.
Wait till you get up north, bro.
That is going to be fun because he is coming to the Dome. What is that, week 11?
It's the last game of the year, yeah.
So week 11, you'll be making the trip to Marquette. But that's pretty special, dude. I'm not going to lie. That was not on my radar when I made that tweet. You called me out on it right away. I love it. But, I mean, first of all, I got to ask, what the hell did 405 do to you? Because you had no business throwing on that front squat weight around this morning. And you were like tossing it like it was personal.
Yeah, it wasn't. This whole offseason been personal. You know what I'm saying? By training and everything, it's just it's all personal for me. You know what I'm saying? I've come a long way to get to the point I am now. I came to college at 200 pounds, and so being able to push some numbers up like that, those back squat numbers, so being able to push it on front squat, that's solid. I was hyped about that one. You can hear it in the video.
Hell yeah, I might have to throw the video up here in post. I'll throw it overward so we can, they can see it while we're talking about it. You get it, and it's one of those take the belt off, belt drops. You're so pumped. I do it. You live for those.
Hi.
And of course, I'm doing my research and I'm reading, and one of the best quotes, guys, from his coaches is that he said that you faced double teams 80% of the year last year. That was the number that he threw out. And so if you're facing, and by the way, he's an interior guy, so it does at least kind of make, if he said that and he was playing off the edge, I'd be okay, I'll call bullshit. But
Right.
you're playing on the inside, that number definitely means something. You have that kind of production. Can we expect that to be, 100% this year, 115, what?
Absolutely. You can expect that off the first game. But double teams, triple teams, it don't matter to me. I live in the backfield, and that's who I am. So
I love it. Now I'm like, okay, I played a little 3-tech in high school. I don't look it, right? But I was a feisty little dude down there, and I didn't have the size to take on no double team, so I was taking a knee and just holding my water.
Yeah.
That's not the way you play it. What's the way to get around that when you got two massive humans trying to move you to a different location?
Yeah, really just my get off. I tell all my guys, if you can get them on 2 separate levels, you ain't got to worry about a double team.
Yeah.
So I'm every single snap, I'm trying to get off the ball and create that separation between the two offensive linemen. That way, I ain't got to really focus on if that guy's just going to clamp down on me or not. Usually, half the time, I kind of just get a little chip off, my hip or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if I can get them on 2 different levels, I've already won. So I'm strong enough to hold my own off a double team. So I'm never really worried about it.
No, I got you. So pre-snap, are you looking at one dude or the other like, this is my guy? Like, I'm targeting this dude. He's being knocked back as soon as that ball snaps.
Yeah, if I'm in the 3-tech, I'm focused on that guard, and that's my main priority. Once I get him off his point, the rest is history.
I got you.
Because the tackle's coming down to me, or even that center, they still got another job to do. Their ultimate goal is obviously they're trying to climb to the second level. They're just trying to knock me off my spot. So
yeah. Now, like I said, coming to Northern State last year and set it on fire. It was kind of the corny way to say it, but really you did. Like, you came in, you made your impact right away, and you talk about the accolades and whatever, not to brag about it, but to talk about that and say, like, I came in, had an immediate impact, and the team that historically has kind of been up and down and has had some pretty tough years in the past, you guys went 6-5 last year, and you won some pretty big games, and you were a big part of that. Talk about how gratifying that is to be part of that, that uptick.
Man, yeah, it's something I've worked, my whole life to put myself in position for. I've been an underdog my whole life, I haven't played a full season of college football since 2019.
Man.
So being able to get to this point where, I am a leader and I am able to make an impact towards winning football games, and I am a difference maker in football games, that's just all glory to God. I give all my success to God. Without him, I ultimately wouldn't be in this position. I'm not even supposed to be here, off my background and where I come from, my childhood. So just to finally be in the position that, I've been working for and that God's had the path for me, it's everything to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't be more thankful and give thanks to, Coach Schmidt and the staff here for believing in me, because not many do. Before I was an All-American, before I was all that, I was just another guy out there trying to play football.
Yeah.
So.
And Coach Schmidt, when you talk about him, he said it straight up. He was like, yeah, you know what? We were going after him heavy recruiting-wise, but he's like, I didn't think we were going to get him. Like, no way. Yeah. He said that straight. I was reading the article. I'm like, man, usually coaches will come out here and be like, oh, we knew we met him. We knew he was going to be a great. He said, no, man, we didn't think. He told the other coaches, yeah, you might have to start pursuing some other guys because there might not be a way that we land this dude.
Yeah. It was there's some truth behind that, because throughout the process, I did have some good D1s and I did have some good D2s. I had some of the top D2s in the country. But when I came up here to the Northern, it just felt right. It felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. It was a new change of scenery. It was kind of out of the South. 'Cause obviously I'm from Oklahoma and Missouri. I guess I'm from Missouri, but was raised in Oklahoma a lot of my life. So to get out of that, get a new change of scenery into somewhere different where I would never expect myself to be, it was definitely needed. And on my visit, talking with them, they understood my goals, and then I understood what they were trying to do. They were trying to come here and win a national championship, conference championship, whatever you want to call it. And that's when I like coaches who talk about that. Obviously you want to win one game at a time, but you still want to try and manifest and put that out into the air.
Yeah.
Everybody win a national championship. So hearing that he's a winner and how he turned programs around, that was real enticing to me. So when I came on my visit and before I left, I already knew I was coming here. I had business lined up the weeks after, but I knew I was coming here. But I had to play the game, lead them on a little bit, flirt with them. So.
Yeah, I got you. You had to play the game a little bit. I like it. That's real, though. That is, I think that, that's real. And a lot of guys that goes through that process, and whether they say it or not, that shit happens all over the place, right? But to put your last season into perspective a little bit, I talked about it. The sack records are the one that stand out, right? Because that's one of the more flashy stats at that position. And rightfully so, it's a game-changing kind of statistic. But being an interior guy, how do you manage to create that disruption? Like you said, you live in the backfield. That's your thing. With a Twitter handle, Dr. Pass Rush, too. I mean, that's all about it. It's not even just a style of play. It's a persona and a mindset. How do you manage to, to get back there and make those big plays?
Man, like you said, it's a mindset. You know what I'm saying? Like every time I line up across, another offensive lineman, my mind is always, I'm better than them, regardless of what their accolades are. I'm better than anyone I line up against. I work in the off season so hard on my craft. I'm so confident in my preparation that there is no doubt. And as long as I trust myself and my abilities, I never have no doubt. And I just get off the ball and fly around. It's my effort. I have a motor like no other. I go. I'll go till the wheels fall off. So
yeah,
like you said, it's a mindset. Playing interior D-line or D-line in general, it's definitely, you got to have a mindset to, you don't want to be blocked. And my mindset, obviously I'm a D tackle, but I don't want to be touched because, I'm 280 pounds, 6'1", so I'm already undersized.
Yeah.
So if I can, I work my hands. I'm gonna tap you. I'm gonna go. So if I get off the ball and work my hands, I don't want to get touched and tangled up with someone who's got 60 pounds, 50 pounds on me, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
We work in any knife skills at the bank, or is that not in the practice schedule yet?
Not yet. But I have to implement it in.
Yeah. That'd be the first D1R athlete injury post breaking. Yeah, no, we don't need any of that yet. But no, like Trevor and I were actually just talking about that earlier today about another kid at the D2 level, and I had asked him like, what do you remember about playing him? And you had said like, dude had a crazy motor, and that's why we had said that he was a solid player. It was Vic Nelson, right, the one who went to Ferris State, and you had said out of all things that stood out about him, right, that the dude had a solid motor and he just never took a play off, that type of thing. And so that's something that people definitely would remember about your game. Now, the pass rushing side, take that away. How has the other side of your game benefited from that as far as just being a run stopper, being able to clog up holes and take on those double teams?
Yeah, obviously you got to stop the run to rush the passer. Mm-hmm. So that's the goal. Obviously if I go out there and I do what I need to do and downs 1, 2, and 3, or downs 1 and 2, really, that's when I finally get to showcase what I'm really elite in. I still pride myself on being an elite run stopper. Yep. I'm not the typical brute D tackle who's going to sit in the gap and, clog it up. Mm-hmm. That's like I mentioned a second ago. I like to get past guys and be in the backfield. I want TFLs. That's what's going to get you paid. So being able to just get off the ball and just get, I'm just faster than everybody. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, it'll probably change. It'll definitely change when I get to the league and everything. But I probably, if I just get off the ball and just trust myself, I'm gonna definitely get the blessing to be able to rush the pass.
I got you. Yeah. Now talk about, you said a little bit earlier, raised in Oklahoma, go to Missouri, and then you've had this journey. I had mentioned it in the intro. You'd been at D2 before, make the jump to like an FCS level, and then moved back home, to be closer to family. Talk about that experience, because then you walk on at Oklahoma State and you go through, like you said, you hadn't played a full season since 2019. Just did not see the field at Oklahoma State. What did that do? I mean, physically, I know what it is to miss seasons, right? That sucks, but mentally, even worse, right? Because you're a guy that you talked about the supreme, undeniable confidence in yourself. Did that ever waver? And just what was that experience like, being able to get out of that situation and now have this impact?
Sure. Just a quick backstory, just like my timeline. So, like you said, I started at Division II. I walked on to a D2 out of high school. I had no offers, no stars, no nothing. So I walked on. I was there by one semester, just a fall semester of 17. Yep. I went JUCO in the January of 18, was there for 2 seasons, left in 19, signed to go to Abilene. Was only there about a month and a half. My pops ended up getting cancer before he passed. So that was the driving factor to move back home. Yep. That way I could be closer to him, just so I could get a little more time with him before. If he did pass, it was unknown at the time, but obviously he passed. So, rest in peace to him. But I walked on to Oklahoma State. That was always my dream school. I grew up a huge Barry Sanders fan. That's who got me into playing football. So I wanted to go to Oklahoma State. So I got there in 2020. I was on the scout team that first year. I was a true walk-on there. I had a tryout and everything. So the true walk-on, I was a true walk-on there. And I didn't see the field like you said, but mentally, I always believed in myself. You know, even when no one else believed in me, I always believed in myself. So that confidence and that belief in myself never dwindled. I just, it just didn't go my way, and that's just something I had to accept.
Yeah.
So throughout the process, being there, I'm grateful for it. I have no regrets, but I always had confidence in myself because I was still producing during practice, against guys who went to the league,
Of
against Power
course.
5 guys. And so going there and, producing during practice, everything, that even gave me more confidence. That gave me like, oh, I can really play this game of football. I can take this as far as I want, which drove me to hit the portal. So of 21, I actually stepped away from football. I was, like you said, I've never lost confidence in myself, but I got to a point just mentally. I was just battling with depression and everything because my pops just passed, girl just left me, football wasn't going good. So I stepped away from football and I was done. Like I was done. I was like, I'm just gonna get a job, this, that, and the third. But I had my name in the portal. I was just like, I'm just gonna see what pops. And so obviously my offer started coming and everything. And as my offer started getting ramped back up, I kind of was like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't give up on myself. Because I definitely know my pops would want me to do that. So yeah, my confidence never went away. I was still training as hard as I could. I was still with my specialist because I always believed in myself, like regardless of the circumstances. And that's just something a lot of people don't have. Like they'll get to a point and it gets hard. When it gets hard, that's my favorite part because that means I'm right there. I'm right there where I want to get to. So I never really got down on my abilities.
Yeah, of course. I love that. And that's like, it's a much larger conversation too, but like your abilities, right? The things you can control, what you can do to put the work in to increase, the way that you perform in certain situations. Then the really hard things to take on are the external factors, the thing you have no control over, right? Whether it be in your family with your dad, or whether it be just the football gods just not throwing you a bone, or other external forces. How do you just deal with, I can speak on it too. Injuries are another great way to talk about a lot of those things. You can do everything you want to prepare for injuries, and then something just happens and it can be taken away from you. I think that's something that really is tough to deal with, and it depends on the situation. But obviously in yours, when one, you're not getting the results that you want, getting the results you think you deserve after you put all that work in, and then on top of that, things are starting to pile up, one thing after another. What was kind of, if you can remember one point where you kind of, just sat there and was like, man, just got to make the most of this. I'm not sure if there was that moment for you, but what was that process like, kind of getting out of that hole and getting back to not only football, but just being in a better headspace?
Yeah. Honestly, I didn't get into a truly good headspace until I got to South Dakota.
Wow.
So,
okay.
That I just really grew in my faith during that time. Like when I stepped away from football, I had no football. I had no nothing. I was working a job, so I had all this free time that I wasn't used to. And like I said, I was done. So I just really honed in on my faith, and I just trusted the Lord of what I pray, and obviously He led me here. So I really didn't get out of a rut until I got to South Dakota, until I got a scene change, until I got to be in a place where, I was wanted. It's obviously helps when you go to a place that you're wanted, but I think my driving factor just through all of this process has just been my faith. I just never lost sight in what God has planned for me. As hard as it was to not get these goals that I had set out for myself and not achieve what even what I thought I wanted to achieve.
Yep.
I just had to hunker down, check my ego, and just trust the process. As cliche as it is, I really had to trust the process. And it was a hard process to trust, but I had to.
Hey, things are cliche for a reason, man, because a lot of people believe in them and a lot of people say them. And usually a lot of people that, are pretty accomplished say them. That's why they become cliche. So I totally hear you there. Now, we can talk about you guys, talk about the Wolves a little bit, right? First two games for you guys this year. You open at Bemidji State, and then you go home game versus Duluth. You probably couldn't write it up better than that. You probably wouldn't have it any other way. Talk about the vibe, the energy from the guys over there. The way I see it, a chance to prove yourself right away against two really top quality opponents in that conference.
Yeah. We're ready. We're putting the pieces together this offseason. Obviously those are two losses for us last season. So being able to open up with those games and make a statement right away for the not just the conference, but the nation of D2 in general. That we're the truth. We got a lot of players that are coming back that we didn't have last year. We got an All-American receiver and then another receiver who will probably be an All-American.
Okay.
Got some good pieces on the O-line that we got out of the portal. Got some good pieces on the defensive line and really the defense in general. We got 2 corners, 2 stud corners, about 6'1", long. We got an all-conference linebacker from CSP. So we're loading up. We're trying to take this whole thing home. And being able to open up with Bemidji and Duluth right off the gate, I mean, like you said, you couldn't draw it up any more perfect. Those 2 games right there not only are statement games, but that's going to give us the confidence to keep this ball moving forward. Because arguably, those are the best 2 teams in the conference outside of us and Mankato.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get to play Mankato this year. I was a little upset about that.
I did see
one.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I was upset about that one, but it is what it is. We'll see them in the playoffs, so I'm not worried.
There you go.
But yeah, I'm excited. I get real excited. My heart gets beaten when I start talking about it because I want to beat those 2 teams bad, real bad.
Hell yeah, dude. Get back season.
Bad.
I love it, dude. I wanted to touch on, you're one of our newest guys that we're sponsoring as a show. Glad to have you first of all, but what made you even remotely interested in what we had going on here? Because I know we've started to get this platform taken, a little bit further and further, but when that launched, we were still at a point where things were kind of stagnant and not a whole lot of things going on. So I'm just literally just curious, just me asking, like, what made you even remotely interested?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the name D1 Reject stuck out automatically. And, coming from D1 and being rejected, so to say, it instantly, I was like, that's something I want to be a part of. Regardless of, what you guys, the brand that you're trying to put behind it, that name alone made me cling to it. And then just what you guys are trying to do, just shine light on, lower divisions of football to give us a platform to showcase ourselves, to tell our story, to just talk football or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That was something that drove me to want to be a part of it. I love to be a part of something that's new, fresh, and something I can actually believe in, and that good people involved in it. So I saw that, and I honestly don't even remember. Y'all just popped up on my Instagram one day on like one of those like you can like suggested followers. I saw it and I was like, what is this? And I clicked on it and I kind of read a little bit about it and I was like, I definitely want to try and get involved with you guys.
Let's go. That's sick.
That is dope. I love that, dude. And I appreciate that a ton. Now, I mean, this is just like very early stages of our whole sponsorship deal with our D1R athletes and like still trying to get things sent out, get things situated. I told you we got the wall in here. Those pictures will be going up within the next week or so. Hopefully that's going to look, I'm telling you, it's going to look nice. We're going to do this thing right. I'm not cheaping out on none of it. I want to do this thing right for all of us. But coming from you, what is, again, just me dead curious asking, like, what's one thing, if you could pick anything that you want to see from this partnership moving forward? Is there any big ideas or anything you've seen from other places that you think we should incorporate with our athletes?
Man, that's a tough question.
I did kind of just throw that on you. I didn't give you for people who don't watch this show either. I mean, we just jump right into combo. We don't plan nothing like that. So I'm just throwing that on you. But man,
can we revisit this question?
Yeah, we can. We definitely can. And I mean, you got my number, right? Like anything you got, like I'm always open. But I really do. I'm gonna pick the brain of all you guys that we are bringing on. Like I want to make this as unique and as interesting and I guess most importantly as beneficial, right, to both of us as possible. Because it's gonna be big for us too. Like that's the whole point of it. It's gonna benefit both of us. But I mean, man, anything you got, you know, I'm all ears. But my last kind of piece was like, you know, the bank, you showed the bank at the beginning of the video. Yeah. That is it's a pretty sick setup. But I'm telling you, you come in the Dome week 11, and you're going to see why most of the away teams that come in here, bro, they got – show them, Cade. Show them what they do when they walk through the door over there, the away teams.
For what?
When they come in, like, for the first time in the Dome.
Yeah, they get in the Dome, bro. They get in the Dome, bro, and it's like this. They're like, damn, holy shit, bro. They out here like this, you know what I'm saying? Like it's every team, bro. Every team, it's the same. It's because if they come there, what, Friday? They get there Friday.
Yeah, they'll get there Friday for a practice.
Yeah, and then they come out there the first time. They just got off the bus, you know. I mean, I would too, though. You know, the first 100%. Time I came, I still do it. Like shit, I still do it every time I walk.
Yeah, but I say that because I was curious. I mean, that'll be a fun trip, and obviously I'll actually get to meet you and see the squad.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to ask any other – I know those first two are going to be big ones for you. You got any other red X's on the calendar for some big-time ones that you're eyeing, or is it really just you'll give me the coach speak of 1 week at a time?
No, I definitely do.
Okay,
Augie,
good. I was going to say, you don't seem like the type.
yeah.
But
Oh, I got some give back for sure. Augie, Augustana.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely want that game for sure. I hate to say it, but Northern Michigan, I gotta see what y'all talking about over there. It's the GLIAC, yeah?
it is
Yeah.
the GLIAC.
Gotta see what y'all talking about in the GLIAC. So, man, every game's a Red X game for me. You know what I'm saying? This my last season of college football. So my mindset this coming into this year is just so much different than any other year. Like this is my last chance to really make this league thing happen. So every game's got a Red X, but yeah, there's some more than others, but I'm trying to go crazy in every game. I'm trying to put up 10 sacks in a game this year. And I really believe I can do that. Like there's been I had 4.5, but I lost 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like that's 1.5 sacks right there. I'm right there to all of them, man. I'm just trying to get this ball rolling.
I love it. How has that leadership position changed for you within that culture over there? Coming in last year, you've done more than prove your part on the field. Talk about in that building how your leadership role has grown, and now being around the program, being around the guys, what that looks like heading into 2023 here in the fall.
Sure, yeah. I've always prided myself on being a leader just in general. You know, I feel like I was a born leader. I feel like I had a huge purpose in this world, regardless of football or not. But being here with the guys and being able to be a good example for them and lead the charge, and I may not always be right, but I'm always going to try and lead in the right direction. And having the younger guys, especially the new incoming freshmen, be able to look up to me and be able to see the success that I've had just on the hard work. If you just go out there and get down and dirty with it, you can achieve a lot of things. And being able to have a voice that echoes around the room, and when I speak, everyone shuts up and listens. That's definitely something I've worked a long time to get to the point of. So being able to be just a good example for all these guys is a blessing for real.
I love it. Hey, and like I said, you come up because you're gonna be laying down tonight, and one of those ideas for the partnership is gonna hit you. Hit me up, bro, because I seriously am. I wanna hear all about whatever you got. And I'll be in touch either way. But appreciate you coming on. This has been great, and I'm excited to. This won't be the last time we talk, but I'm excited to see what you do this fall, man.
Yes, sir, absolutely. It's always love.
Hell yeah.
Have a good one, bro.
Thank you, Ian.
You too, guys. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate Ian coming on. And now we're going to transition over, and we're going to jump into our first piece of featured teams. We need to work on. We were trying to workshop a segment name earlier. Didn't really come up with anything on the spot. We're going to continue to work on it. Either way, we've got featured teams. Today, the first one, we'll stay on the D2 level of talking to Ian. We're going to go Pittsburg State. Division II out of the MIAA, the Gorillas. They were ranked. They came in at number 4 in the College Football Network's top 25 rankings, and I think any reputable ranking would put them at least in the top 5, if not more, because this team has proven in the last however many years that they are going to be a premier team on this level of football. Last year, 12-1. Their one loss coming at number 5 Ferris State, that being in the second round of the NCAA Division II playoffs. They gave them a game. They lose 14-17 to Ferris, probably the best game. Well,
for sure,
second best game they got all year after Grand Valley did actually beat
if
them.
I remember right, I don't remember. It came down to a field. Obviously, it was 14-17, but the end of the game, I can't remember if it was Pittsburg State had to make a really long field goal and they missed, or I can't remember exactly what happened, but it came right down to the very last second of the game. Whatever, either Ferris made a field goal or Pittsburgh State might have missed one. But at the end of
it says right here on the recap, Pitt State had a final chance to win or tie the score in the game's final minute. They drove 56 yards to Ferris State's 14-yard line, but a 3-yard loss and a holding penalty forced them to try a 44-yard field goal to force overtime, and they did not get that. Imagine that, dude.
Damn, what the hell?
I knew
a
it was
3-yard
like
loss
that.
and a holding penalty back on the same play, and all of a sudden you go from we're on the 14-yard line, a chip shot, to then you're back 3, and then back another 5, and now all of a sudden that chip shot turns into a 44-yard field goal, and that is not a gimme, especially in Big Rapids.
That's why you don't hold.
That's why you don't hold. But some statement wins for them last year. The first round of the playoffs was against number 13 Indianapolis, 35-0. But
Holy shit.
as we've talked about a little bit though, Indy last year, and we don't usually come on here to throw shade, but as far as national rankings go, the Greyhounds were a little bit of a fraudulent nationally ranked. Yes. From an outsider's perspective, right? We didn't play them. We have not seen these guys play in person. But when you go into Saginaw Valley, who's unranked at the time, and you get throttled,
yeah, that was.
when you're the number 8 team in the country,
we were all like, what the? You know
I remember like checking that. It was the same time we played. I swear it was when we were at TAC.
No, it was.
I think it was TAC.
Couple other notable games for them last year, though, for Pittsburg State. Week 2 was at number 11, Nebraska Kearney, who's also in the MIAA, and they beat them 35-28, come out with a one-score touchdown at their place. That was big time. Then again, at Emporia State, another team who's ranked very highly in the preseason rankings, top 20, and they beat them 14-13. So I think a big part of this Pittsburg State team that you'll see is that they are experienced enough and talented enough, more importantly, I guess, that they are going to come out on top in these very close ones. And finally, the other top dog in that conference, number 9, Northwest Missouri, when they played them in week 6, week 7, 24-22. They win by 2 points at home. And it just felt like every week, at least looking at these scores, man, that these games came down to the wire, but every single time Gorillas found a way to be on top. Pretty good measuring stick of a really good team. Moving forward, though, talking about some more overview of these guys. And guys, something I wanted to kind of highlight here. We put this in our tweet when we were talking about some of the best Division II stadiums in the country. Kearney Smith, I believe is what it's called, Kearney Smith Field for the Gorillas, certainly has to be in that conversation. Take a look at this. This place is unreal. Like a really impressive setup. And on top of that, guys, I had said before, like when they have games here, like this place, not only does it look awesome, like this place is packed. There's their indoor facility right there. Wow. So nice to look at that. Holy cow.
Shit, dude.
Talk about facilities.
Yeah.
Team meeting room there, more like a full-ass auditorium. That is incredible.
Looks like brand new.
Yeah, I did not know. Oh, and just in case you guys wanted, there's a close-up on the seats to make sure that's real leather right there. I don't know why we punched in like that. A little bit of the weight room action. Part of this team feature series, I just wanted to go through and show off some of these facilities because I know a lot of people who maybe aren't even familiar with the D2 level, especially not with these teams. This is the locker room. They have a really large locker room. Got some NFL. I'm going to go back there a little bit. Got some NFL alum there on the walls, it looks like. I wanted to take a little bit of a closer look at that. Yes. Right there. Pretty sweet stuff. Moving to the rest of the locker room, though. You can see the size of that thing. Like, that is huge, which is really sweet. So, some really great facilities at Pittsburg State. And part of that is, too, like, when you have the success that you have as a program, those are the type of things that are going to come to you, and you continue to win. There is going to continue to be upgrades and other things to your facilities. Now, that was really, as far as facilities go, we got a good look at everything right there. But let's talk about some stats. 2 All-Americans coming back for the Gorillas this year. One of those is Trace Jeffries. Shout out Trace. Follows us on the platform. So shout out to you, big fella. We appreciate you. He's listed at 6'4", 322.
Holy cow.
He was an All-American last year on the offensive line. And that offensive line unit is going to be a very big point of improvement from an outsider's perspective here for the Gorillas. They averaged over 130 yards per game on the ground. But something that I saw was only 3.6 yards per carry. So not a whole lot of breakout runs. It seemed like a lot of nitty-gritty between the tackles. They're a very physical team on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And you've got 3 new transfers coming up front. Zane Madison from West Texas A&M, a D2 transfer. You got Aiden Chance from Western Illinois, which I believe is NAIA, correct?
Western Illinois?
Sorry, no. That's the Bulldogs, the Leathernecks. Yeah. That's D1. I'm thinking Illinois Wesleyan, my bad. Western Illinois. And then you have Landon Blobaugh from Northwestern State. So 3 big transfers coming in, and when guys come in like that, they're not coming in to sit the bench, right? They're coming in to be starters. What would that be like, Trevor, to have 2 guys, and then all of a sudden, here's 3 new transplants, boom, right away, now you have a whole entirely new offensive line unit, because the other guy I was looking at here was their honorable mention All-American who played interior O-line. He is leaving. So Trace, I believe, is one of the only returners coming back on that front.
I think it's kind of huge, too, to have plug-and-play starters on the offensive line that can be good day one.
Yeah.
Because the offensive line is such a, position that there's a lot of development involved. Like it's hard to, you very rarely find an offensive lineman that freshman year can just start right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can get athletes that if they're just that
Adapt.
good, yeah, they can
They grow into a role. Yep.
But it takes time to develop as an offensive lineman, so that's huge to be able to bring in 3 guys to start right away.
Yeah, and then again, we don't
know,
but
we're under the assumption if you're bringing in 3 transfers, they're there to start.
exactly. You don't bring in guys to sit the bench like that. And I'm sure there are a couple other really talented starters in that offensive front that are coming back. It's not something you usually see like right away. Is like, again, I'm not sitting down doing hours of film studying these guys. If I had the time, I would, but I don't. But I'm sure there are other pieces. But again, this is all from an outsider's perspective. That seems to be a big point of improvement potentially for them. And then right behind the offensive line, what position is most impacted? You could say quarterback, but I'm going along the lines of running back, right? We had seen losing the starting running back for them, Caleb Lewis. He's going to Tarleton State. Ran for 1,000 yards last year. And I know you had said they definitely split that load a decent amount between a few backs.
There was like...
It doesn't, like, but at the end of the day, when you have that many carries and you have that kind of volume, because we know 3.6 yards per carry, he's not busting off these incredible, I'm not every single time, obviously, but 1,000 yards is going to be hard to produce.
He had like the grand majority of all the carries, and there was like 3 guys behind him that had about 40 carries on the year. Yeah. So I think it'll just be interesting to see who will get the bulk of that load this year, because clearly they like to run the ball a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, that too, especially in those first couple games when you have an unsure, maybe they do have a sure number one and they feel really good about one guy right now. But when you go into those first couple games, we could certainly see a split load from this gorilla backfield. And that could be something that continues throughout the season if they like the dynamic of that, especially if you have 2 backs with a kind of widely separated skill sets, or maybe you see them as the games go on really dive into one guy and really commit to him being the bell cow, I guess, so to speak, right? Another guy I forgot to mention, Devon Garrison, tight end. He was an All-American last year, 35 receptions, 614 yards, 7 touchdowns. So I certainly wouldn't say lighting up the stat book, but this guy was a big-time red zone threat for them. And when they get into scoring position, it kind of felt like you knew where the ball was going. And as far as tight ends go at the D2 level, something that's not as utilized, I think, as the larger levels of college football, if you guys would agree with me there. I know in the NFL, we've seen tight ends become this absolute unicorn of a position, and that has trickled down to Division I a little bit because we have guys wanting to make that kind of generational wealth in the NFL. But at the D2 level, we don't see as many tight ends that are these unicorns, so to speak.
I think a lot of it too is a grand majority of the best Division II football is in like the Midwest region, like even Pittsburg State. I think that's still the Midwest.
I'm not sure, but
basically,
generally, yeah,
essentially. Yeah. So it's like still the traditional. We want to run the ball, have your true tight end that blocks a lot, and then also
a real inline tight end, classic Y. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Now, another piece on this Pittsburg State team, they got a new co-defensive coordinator, I should say, and corners coach, Devontae Sims. He comes over from Angelo State, who's at number 5 in those preseason rankings. Angelo State, they had a year last year. They go 11-1, make a decent run into the playoffs. And then while at ASU, though, Devontae Sims, why I wanted to talk about him, they ranked top 5 nationally in scoring defense. They were number 4. Passing yards allowed, they were number 4 in the country. In total defense, they were number 1. In interceptions, they were number 1. And in defensive passing efficiency, they were number 2.
And they got a new D coordinator?
No, that's the D coordinator, the co-defensive coordinator. He was the corners coach over there.
Oh, okay.
He's the one coming to Pittsburg State, and he's bringing with him
the crew.
You would imagine there's probably some guys falling over. Not sure 100% on that, but when you have someone coming from a defense who produced every single one of those statistics last year, with his corners being a huge part of that. I mean, they led the country in interceptions, in total defense, and almost in defensive pass. It's like, I get tired saying all of it. It's absurd. So I felt like that was definitely worth mentioning. That's a big pickup for them. And, when you talk about getting new coordinators and having to go through a new scheme and things, doesn't seem to be the case, as he is the co-defensive coordinator. So you'd assume there is an incumbent there that they're probably maintaining that same scheme, because last time I checked, when you go, what did I say, like 12-1? Usually you don't change a whole lot of scheme.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Usually you kind of keep the status quo and keep going. But Cade, you had saw earlier, potentially, emphasis on potentially, little bit of a quarterback composition for Pitt State heading into fall camp between the returner, Chad Dotson Jr., and then Darius Bowers, the transfer from Central Arkansas.
So I was just kind of looking at it more as we're sitting here, but It says in his bio that he transferred over the summer from University of Central Arkansas, and it says he's going to look for the challenge for action under center this fall. He spent 3 seasons at UCA. He didn't appear in many. He completed 10 of 20 passes for 135 yards and a touchdown. He was a great high school player. His name is Darius Bowers. He's a junior. I know. I believe it was Chad Dotson Jr. got the majority of the looks last year.
Yeah.
I believe he had
he threw for like 3,000 yards.
Yeah, he
29 tutties. Pretty good year.
Yeah, he had a good year. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure what those like I said, I'm not sitting down evaluating quarterback film, but like
yeah, we're just taking what we know.
I know
Information's out there.
that like quarterback like competition room in the quarterback's the biggest. I think like it's the biggest like plus to a team's
Totally.
potential.
It's always good to have
at
a
the start of the
plethora
season, especially like going into camp. Like Dotson will be their number one going to camp.
Wait, he's the proven.
Right, but like it'll be good to see. You know what I mean? Like just see what happens.
That's
talking
always
about-
a good position to have a plethora of
Yep.
like good-
Anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about that with running backs a lot, especially with the nature of the position is very different than the quarterback. But with the quarterbacks, having someone there to compete against every day and elevate your game,
Yeah.
or you pull a Zach Wilson and make their life hell every single day.
Yeah.
Which Aaron actually said he has not made his life hell. He's been very pleasant to work with. So Zach was a liar.
They seem like they're boys now.
They definitely are.
But we can take a look. I want to look at their 2023 schedule, Pitt State, before we move on to our Division III team that we're going to talk about. And fellas, moving through this, like, the biggest thing that stands out to me is that it's not nearly as front-loaded as their 2022 schedule is. No shots taken at Washburn, at Fort Hays State, at Central Missouri. Central Missouri
Mules.
especially has had a solid program here this last decade or so, to my knowledge. But those teams are not the ones that we've talked about them having extremely close games with. Now, when you get to Nebraska Kearney here, Emporia State, Northwest Missouri, even a Sioux Falls potentially, now you're talking about some games that are going to be very interesting. But this first portion of the schedule right here, from my perspective, you expect Pitt State to roll right into this thing. Then they've got actually a pretty good setup where Nebraska Kearney, that's going to be a competitive one. Then you go Northeastern State, Emporia State, boom, back. And then you get kind of, these are by no means off weeks. There are still good competition.
Yeah.
I don't want
Any given
to,
Saturday.
but what I do want to say is those ones that no matter how much coach speak comes out of that program over there, down there in Pittsburgh, this one, and you can't see my mouse on the screen, I just realized, but you guys can. Those ones are marked up on the calendar.
Yeah.
And really, when you get to this point, that's game what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like game 8? Northwest Missouri right here. That game is going to have a very large, it's a very easy thing to say. That's going to have very large implications on this conference, the MIAA.
100%.
And to see what kind of season Emporia State and Kearney have, right? That's going to be very interesting because they certainly could be dark horse contenders in this conference. But when you get to that Week 8 moment right here at Northwest Missouri, that's going to say a lot about where these teams are at. And that's why I feel good about Pittsburg State is that in those games, they have a very good track record of coming out on top. Even in the away games, they're at Northwest Missouri this year. Not take anything away from those Bearcats because they have certainly given a lot of really competitive teams, Ferris included, they've given them games in the past, and they have been just right there. They have not been able to claim that championship in a few years here, but they have been certainly successful. They close out the year with Missouri Western and Central Oklahoma, and then wherever the playoffs takes them. But that was pretty good, fellas.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that. I think people will appreciate that too because that's just like a little bit more in depth than they would probably get. We kind of aggregate all the news, put it together, and then present it in a way that's easy to take in.
Yeah.
But we can move on to our D3 team. How about that? Hardin Simmons, Division III team out of the ASC. Now, Hardin Simmons is a team that, again, I wanted to try and grab some teams here that none of us are very familiar with.
Right.
They're out of Texas. They've had a lot of success. Last year they go 9-2, and some of the bigger games for them, they go and I'm trying to see here. Their first loss is to Mary Hardin Baylor, which the defending national champion in the same conference, the ASC, that was their first conference game last year. But they continued to bounce back, win every game after that in the regular season. Lost in the first round of the playoffs against Trinity out of Texas as well, 7-14 in that first round of the playoffs.
Damn.
And that has to leave a really bad taste in their mouth because they were on a 7-game win streak heading into that game with all the momentum in the world. And if they won that game, I do believe it would have been a rematch against UMHB in the second round of the playoffs. Have to imagine sometimes in those situations, the eyes start to lurk onto the next round.
Yeah.
And maybe potentially when you're on that kind of win streak and you feel a little untouchable, man, we want another shot.
Definitely could have happened.
We want another shot at UMHB, and they did not make it that far. But this team, like I said, 9-2 last year, poised to have a really big year in 2023 as well. Not listed on the schedule for 2023. We'll look at that in a little bit, but they did just add a 10th game in 2023 versus Endicott, which is one of the best teams out of not only their conference, but in the whole New England region. They were 10-1 in 2022. They also lost in the first round of the NCAA playoffs. So another team that has a lot to prove with a lot of top talent returning. Before we jump into some of the returners for Hardin Simmons, though, I want to just give you guys a quick look at the facilities down there in Texas. Not too shabby. Remember, this is Division III, so you're moving down a level from, you're not going to get the same as a Pittsburg State, potentially.
So that's really nice for a Division III.
That is
stadium.
a really solid stadium.
Yeah.
I'm like actually really impressed with that. I'm sorry I kind of
the
grabbed
Cowboys?
it. I grabbed a shitty quality photo, shitty resolution, but that's the best one I could find. Yes, of the Cowboys. Sorry. End zones are dope. I think the purple
It's a
looks really
good-looking
good.
field. I think the field looks great.
It does. Are you guys a fan of the like the lawnmower stripes?
I am,
I love
personally.
it. I think it's pretty
I do
dope.
too.
As long as it's not over exaggerated. I know like West Bloomfield kid, if you remember playing on that field,
Yeah.
it was like dark green and neon green back and forth.
That's horrible.
That's bad.
yeah. No, but like if
this
it's,
looks good.
That looks
We
great.
at Lake Orion we had like this. It was good.
Yes, I'm a big fan of that.
LO.
Yeah, at the low. But that is the stadium down there at Hardin Simmons, and then if we look here at a quick shot, again, the best I could find here of their locker room, and again, we're talking Division III here, guys. That's pretty nice locker room,
Yeah.
That's a good looking locker room.
and that could be. I mean, I say Division III, any level.
Yeah,
That is
2
a nice
helmets.
looking locker room. A lot of space, nice little area there. It looks like this is probably set up for a recruiting visit right now with
They
all
got
the
2
chairs.
helmets, bro.
Is that white and gold in there?
Yeah, that's sick.
That's pretty clean. I did not notice that in the first look. That's pretty
dope.
sick, though. I like that. I like the look there. And finally, fellas, we've got. Let me mute this because I don't know what kind of audio is on it, just in case. But a nice little clip here from the weight room down at Hardin Simmons, if it will let me get to it. Big squat day for the Cowboys. So I was trying to find a picture of the weight room. I'm like, why not just show the video of the boys getting after it? I love this. That's some real weight on the bar. Good
yeah.
depth,
You gonna
dude.
break the
My
damn bar.
gosh.
Look at this thing.
Look
dude.
at that thing bouncing. I love it, man. I love it. That's good energy, man. That's really good energy. But that was what I kind of wanted to just give, like I said, the quick overview, some of the facilities, go through some of those things. Now we can talk about some of the returners and move on here for the Cowboys. They had 2 All-Americans last year. You're bringing back the leader of your defense for one last ride. Matt Mitchell, 74 tackles. Listen to the stat line, Cade. 74 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions.
Oof.
Like
He's like Matt Milano.
Mr. Do-It-All
He's like
for the
Milano,
Cowboys
dude.
down there. Absolutely love that. But you're losing. We talked about this guy a little bit before the podcast. The three-time All-American offensive lineman, Boomer Warren, who was one of the 15 national semifinalists for the Gagliardi Trophy this last year as a guard. And not only as a guard, why don't you give me the roster height and weight again? Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, Boomer was 5'9", 260.
5'9", 260, and the dude was a national semifinalist for the D3 Heisman.
And he was a dog.
He
has
absolutely
to be
was.
a dog.
He absolutely was.
Dog.
So you have to imagine losing a guy like that. Not only is a 3-time All-American, but like that's a dude that everyone probably looked up to in the locker room.
And the Cowboys do bring back a stud receiver in the name of Guy Creamer. I believe he's going to be going into his sophomore year.
Yeah.
But just shout out Guy.
First team All-Name, D3?
Yes, we might have to tag him on that, like give him a little clip or something.
You go ahead and do that. Go
Okay,
ahead.
all right, yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna look him up after this because I mean, just spectacular name. First and like second of all, you gotta do some great things. You
With
gotta
a
do
name
some-
like that?
you have to. Touchdown Creamer. Like, come on, dude. Like,
Can we talk like some NIL for real here for a second? Can we stop and
You know what
talk
I
a little
mean?
bit
Like,
of brand deals?
he's got like the Happy Gilmore. He's like a Happy Gilmore kind of
Maybe
name.
we're the one
Guy
that gets
Creamer.
him started in the right direction to a
Bro.
deal with Folgers or with Coffee Mate or with, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
What are we
we're
talking
shit.
about?
Krispy Kreme.
That's not. I was thinking different direction, but that's not bad. That's not
that's
bad.
good.
Cade's not
No.
digging it.
No, I hate it.
Never mind. I'll stop talking. It's this show.
I'm just saying, he's coming back. He's poised to have a big year. I mean, if I'm not wrong, he seemed like he's a bigger kid.
He's actually a big he could have big contribution to their team. Yeah, I know what you're saying. But on that same note, though, send us some suggestions. We are going to do an all-name Division II and an all-name D3 team with the best names across the country in college football. If you want to send in some of those suggestions, we'll be putting that together. Because who else does that?
Nobody.
Damn right. We do it.
We do it.
There's Boomer right here.
Boomer.
I'm going to get this guy
That's the man.
news, so just keep going on.
Yeah. No, you go for it. The only other piece I had on Hardin Simmons here is that loss to Trinity in the playoffs last year, that was the last game for 29 seniors. Boomer Warren was not the only guy they're losing this year. 29
seniors. Is a lot of
That's
seniors.
A big number. And I think right now that number is so large because we're at that point where these guys with the COVID year are starting to finally expire.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's reasonable.
So Guy Creamer is going into his senior year.
Not a sophomore.
He appeared in one game last year.
So never mind.
He was an all-district quarterback in high school. He's 6'2", 170 from Del Rio, Texas. So, Guy, rooting for you, man.
Need a big year out of you, Guy.
83. I mean, he's got size, dude. You know, he could.
What's the roster height and weight?
6'2", 170.
That's not 170. He's got a Guy. You might need less creamer and more calories, my friend. Let's put a little
more
pounds.
protein.
Let's put some pounds on that frame, Guy.
But I mean, let's see, man.
Great name though.
Like let's do it. Let's do it, Guy.
We're all in on Guy. But we can transition there. That was kind of our piece on Hardin Simmons. I guess I could touch on their 2023 schedule, shouldn't I? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that. I did talk about the game that they added in 2023 versus Endicott, but we'll take a look at the rest of their schedule here quick and look at some of those marquee matchups, if you will. They opened the season versus Albright College. You can see there, game 2 right off the bat. UW Lacrosse, top 5 preseason team in the country here, depending on who you ask. That's a squad. And again, you're going to their place, which is, again, you have to remember, this team is from Texas. They're making the trip all the way up to Wisconsin to play UW Lacrosse. And we'll be playing them a week after, Northern Michigan. Yes. Right? We got them week 3 or no? Is it later? I thought
Lacrosse,
it was week 3.
Week 3 or week...
It's either
3
or
yeah,
4.
right after
4 is 3.
Okay, so there you go. So they'll have them a week before we get Lacrosse. And that's, I mean, you talk about right here. Albright College, again, admittedly don't know a whole lot about AC over there. But UW Lacrosse, then you go at Endicott, back-to-back road trips right away. Those are 2 games that are must-win for them because that is going to have big implications on the rest of their
They're really
year.
going all the way around the nation.
Is it? That's what I was about to, like, the travel for this?
You're going to Wisconsin one week, maybe coming home for a couple days, right?
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think.
And then you got to go all the way to East Coast. Where's Endicott at?
And typing. Massachusetts.
Oh, it says it right.
Did it say that? And you just, I can't read it from here. It's too small. You're probably in the same boat.
Yeah,
you probably can't read it from here either.
Now I see the MA now, but I have to squint a little.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Well, I typed it up. We found it out either way.
Hey,
moving down through the rest of the schedule, look at us. Howard Payne University, they come back home, and then you go at McMurray versus Texas Lutheran University, then Sul Ross State University. And then this one now towards the end of the year is where you get your big-time matchup at home versus the University of Mary Hardin Baylor. They get UMHB again at their place. And then finally, you've got Austin College and East Texas
Is Austin
Baptist.
College, is that a kangaroo?
It is a kangaroo on the logo there. That's pretty
another
special.
That's another segment we should do. Best logos.
In D2 and D3?
Or best mascots, yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Man, we got some good got some good ideas moving forward, boys. We have to make these happen, though. We do. But that's the rest of their schedule here. So literally, guys, when I said this had not been added, they added this today. Because when I added this to the rundown earlier this morning, this Endicott game was not on there. So this just got added. I feel like we're helping break the news a little bit.
Sure.
It was out on Twitter. That's where I found it.
I mean,
but that's a big-time game for them.
We're about to be at 2,000 followers already on Twitter. We just hit 1,000 maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's pretty clutch. That is pretty. You're right. That's pretty sweet. But that is all we've got for Hardin Simmons. Definitely look for them to have a large year. We will certainly be following along. And again, if you do have recommendations, we got a lot of really good feedback, guys, on socials of different D2, D3 teams and some NAIA teams that we will be diving into more in depth. But back to the D3 level here for a moment, fellas. And we're going to talk a little bit about Morrisville. And not so much about what their schedule is at Morrisville, but more like what playing field they'll be using at Morrisville, guys. Take a look at this field.
Where is Morrisville?
And I'm going to have to do a little bit more typing here,
You
Chuff.
know, you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Black turf at Morrisville.
Crazy.
Fresh off the press, just installed. By the way, it doesn't look like Morrisville gives two shits about visiting bleachers because they have none. Maybe that's coming in after the turf. But what do we, first thoughts off the rip here, what would you think about playing on a black field?
I mean, hot as shit, one.
That was the first thing I thought of. If it's 90 degrees out, which Trevor's working on finding out where this is. If it's 90 degrees
Morrisville
out.
State. I don't know if that's the same place, though.
Well, we're going to find out right here together. Check this out. Boom. And we go out of full screen. Bam. This is where we got. Oh, SUNY Morris. So this is New York.
Yep.
This is in New York.
New York. Okay, that makes it
shout
a
out-
little bit better.
Shout out
to
Coach
what-
Rogers, by the way, for having this video up on the Twitter. That's where I got it from. So it's in New York, but again, upstate New York, if that's where this is at. I'm just throwing out
it's upstate
random.
New
Upstate New York, if that's where this is at. In the summer, I think in summer and early summer, August time or
It's gonna be
early fall.
hot.
Yes.
I mean, maybe that's just me being a fat O lineman, but that is the first thing I thought of. I was
sure.
thinking a
I thought
turf
the same
field
thing,
in the
dude.
summer is hot to begin with.
Yes.
With the black turf on it,
yes.
or the pellets or whatever you call it. But
I know what you're talking about. And you have to imagine that a combination not only is there, but there's also
Black-
the pellets on top of what is already black turf.
yeah, I wonder. Like this might be dumb, but I wonder if like a hot day in the summer, if you're standing on the sidelines, is there a different like on the white? Like, can you feel a difference?
That's actually a really good question. Like on a very hot day, standing on the
like-
white
like a
versus,
night-
Probably, deadass.
yeah.
Probably.
Well, Morrisville, we need answers.
Yeah, what we need you to do is take 2 frying pans, put one on the white sideline and one on the black.
hey,
And right next to it, crack an egg in both. Little timer action.
if we turn into like just destroying a D2, D3.
We're going out all over the place. We'll make a trip to New York
Bro.
and we'll do it ourselves.
Bro,
How about that?
They have us out there.
Let's do it.
Well, I actually
We'll bring
I
2
don't
eggs
mind
and
the
2 frying pans. Frying. Yeah.
frying plans for frying pans.
4. Why
No,
need
you
4?
said
You need
frying
flying
plans
Oh,
Four
For-
frying pans.
for yeah.
Jesus. But
What the hell's going on?
that's really all it is. That's all. I just wanted to comment on. It's very interesting. You don't see
I
that
actually
very
kind of
often.
I like the black. I don't mind
The
it.
look.
I don't
I will
mind it.
say, Cade and I played on a gray. You played
Yeah.
on Lapeers, right?
Yeah, bro.
Lapeer
Remember
High
I picked that
School.
ball off and you had a touchdown?
Yes, Lapeer High School. They have a light gray turf
They do.
field, and it sucks. It is
Well,
a bitch to play
or
on.
Eastern Michigan.
Yes, that's a great
It
example.
looks like if you're watching Eastern Michigan on TV, Maction, like it messes with your brain. You think you're watching something like black and white.
Yes, it does. It actually does.
Yeah,
You're
low-key.
right.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say what's even worse is when you get cracked on that kind of field, and then you open your eyes and it's bright as opposed to like your regular green, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like double the concussion. Like as soon as you get hit, dude, getting cracked. Like don't get me wrong, I'm not one to get put on my butt frequently, but it happens, and when it does, and you open your eyes to a gray field, light gray
Yeah.
at that, as opposed to green, it's just not fun at
No,
all.
not
It
at all.
sucks.
It's not appealing to the eyes whatsoever.
No, it's not. So, Morrisville, hey, we'll see how it works. Let's get one of the coaches from Morrisville on here and talk a little bit about the behind the scenes of that.
Oh,
Huh?
yeah.
What do we
For
think?
sure,
Yeah.
dude.
I'll shoot a couple DMs out. We'll see if we can make that happen. Otherwise, fellas, back to the D2 level. This time, another new facility. It's not a field, but instead a locker room. And this one comes from Delta State. Guys, take a look at this. This thing is legit. First of all, right off the rip, that's on the ceiling?
That's badass.
That is electric.
Before we start this, we gotta do
So badass.
once our locker room drops, we gotta look at it on here too.
Oh, we can. Well, I'll probably make the video and put it together. So
Yeah,
I'll have first.
yeah.
We could launch it on D1R.
Ain't happening.
That's happening. What are they gonna do? I made the video.
Yeah,
Take it away from me.
Yeah.
She said no.
They're gonna make
But-
you sign a NDA.
No, they won't. But let's talk about Delta State. Right here, off the rip, on the ceiling, the seats with the neon lighting underneath.
That's sweet.
Sheesh.
What kind of booster money do we have down there? This is absurd. I like where this is going, though. There's
No,
the
it's
lockers
tough.
right there.
It's
I'm
really
trying to
tough.
pick apart this a little bit. You've got the different
There's so much
compartments.
space.
It looks like, is that like a locked one, that top right one?
Yeah.
For valuables and things? The top with those slits right there. I would assume that's like an aeration thing for shoulder pads, something along those lines.
Oh,
Is
I
that
didn't even think about that.
right? It doesn't look like it's aesthetic. I'm assuming it has some type of purpose or use.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Pretty sweet.
Wow.
And oh my gosh,
And
boys.
you have underneath.
Oh my goodness. We got
Underneath, behind the seat,
Yes,
and underneath
dude.
the seat.
Damn, bro.
cubbies. Yes, but open the seat
That's
up and then
tough.
go underneath.
You could just live in the locker room.
It's like a pillow, damn near.
That's so, you don't even need it. The seats are padded.
That's what I'm saying. It's a pillow.
Oh, I thought you said you could take one in there. I'm like, you don't need it. Really sick stuff. Oh my goodness.
It looks good. Wow.
Even they got the poles in the middle decked out with the
what the hell?
lettering. Okay, let me just say, if this is their first reaction to seeing their locker room, that shit was lame. Did you see him just saunter in there?
They probably all like kept
Are
sneaking.
you
like,
serious?
poking their heads in there? You know
think
how
so?
like
Can we? I'm gonna rewind this just really quickly. So hopefully, if you guys didn't see that in the first one, Cade, look at this. If this is their first reaction to walking into the locker room, shame on them. Look at this. He didn't even get off his phone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What?
Like, come on,
This guy's
bro.
got a Mickey Mouse shirt on. What are we doing?
that guy looks excited. He's fired up.
But these guys, here we go. Have them checking out the lockers. Now we've got a little bit of we got a little bit of excitement from these guys. Finally, they show a little bit of emotion down there at Delta State. That first group, I don't know why they let them in first, but this is incredible. The one thing I will say, it looks kind of cramped.
It does look a little tight.
You might not be able to fit Trevor Lee and Jack Chappelle down this at the same time.
It does look a little tight.
That would be my one criticism of this.
But that's
just
also just maybe how they have to do it to like the what
to accommodate.
Like,
yeah. No, you're probably right. Right,
Yeah.
you're probably right.
Oh, it does look crammed though.
Yeah.
Look how close you are. I guess
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of the same thing with ours. Like how close you are to the person next to you.
And not really though. We got our open spaces.
Not. I looked all. Never mind. I'll just stop talking again.
No, you're good. You're good. But that was their new locker room. They, like I said, huge year last year for them, 11-2, looking to bounce back from that. They lose to Florida State.
Florida State.
West Florida, dude. I'm all over the place. They lose to West Florida in the playoffs after they had beat them in the regular season, and it's going to be a big year for them.
Florida State's in Florida.
Florida State is in Florida. So is West Florida. Actually, is also in Florida.
I was
just a
wondering
little
where
more
Delta
west.
State was because I didn't actually know.
It's in Ohio, I think.
Delta State is actually
Indiana, maybe?
No, Delta State.
Mississippi.
They're in the Gulf South Conference, Kate. They would not be in Indiana. But let me just see here.
You think that's funny, Trev?
Well, I'm just saying,
Mississippi.
let's use our context clues here and maybe
Well, I didn't know where they were at, dude.
figure it
I don't
out.
know what division Delta
They're
State's
in Mississippi. They're in Cleveland, Mississippi.
All right.
So,
Cleveland, Ohio. I was basically the same thing.
final piece for today, fellas. Patrick Mahomes. He's got a new home in Cass Country, Missouri.
Is that the one that's like all gated off and shit? And
I don't know, but we are going to find out. Here is the picture from the AI man himself, Dove Kleeman.
oh yeah, this is it.
And we'll take a look at it right here, boys. If it will load. Wi-Fi not having it. There we are. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and his wife Brittany finished. Brittany, by the way, dolphin. She's assaulting dolphins, apparently, according to PETA.
Like, bro,
Not big.
What?
like
not
I don't
great
like her,
news.
but like, come on, bro. Like, give her some. Like, come on.
Anyways,
That's not a big deal, dude. Like,
they
people are
finished
freaking
building their
out.
dream home. I love how he says they finished building, like her and Patrick put down one board or laid one brick on this house, but they finished building it. In 2021, Mahomes announced he bought a plot of land in Kansas City and said he's building a house there, and then this is the result. The mansion, the giant pool, the big private pond, the par 3 golf hole, half a football field with Patrick's personal logo on it. I did not know he even had a logo. And then his name is printed in the end zone? Interesting. Very interesting.
Like, he's gonna forget it or something.
Yeah, the new house is in Cass Country, Missouri.
actually
And he's selling his
ridiculous.
previous home, $2.9 million renovated Kansas City ranch house.
Yeah. So
They
I
are.
also saw something
Also-
about like it's being like it's a completely gated community, private community, and there's their own security and everything. Like, it's,
Well, they
I would
bought
imagine so.
they bought 8 acres.
yeah.
Okay.
Like that's like their plot of land is 8
So,
acres.
so they own a lot of, yeah.
So they own a
chunk.
lot more land that they could. I mean, he has what, a $500 million contract.
He can do whatever the
He could
bleep he wants.
he could build his own town if he wanted to.
The Mahomians,
But I mean, when you get to that level though, and you have people that like
they all great
Mahomes,
quarterbacks.
they probably don't leave you alone. You probably need to get a place where with the gated and security and
Yeah,
whatnot.
dude. I
Even
mean,
for
think about how
Patrick
many
Mahomes.
freak shows are gonna go to Patrick Mahomes' doorstep.
Exactly. So.
Maybe Chiefsaholic would rob it. Not anymore, though.
Hey, they got him.
They got him.
What happened,
They found him.
They caught
He's
his
been on
ass.
bro?
They arrested him.
No, like not actually.
Yes.
All right, bro.
He's
You
been
live
on the
under a
run
rock.
for 4 months.
Okay. Right.
You can look it
Yeah,
up.
look
They
it up,
finally
bro.
got him.
He
They
didn't
got his
actually
ass.
do it, bro.
Yes, he did.
And why would they arrest him?
He robbed a bank, and he's been on the run.
Bro, he runs a fucking Twitter. He's not robbing a bank. He runs a fandom Twitter account. Like,
I'm telling you, he robbed a bank.
And boom! NFL superfan Chiefsaholic caught after fleeing bank robbery charges. The felon in question, right there.
this actually doesn't count because the New York Post just dropped their sports. Is that
What do you mean it doesn't count?
they just dropped their sports?
The article doesn't count. It's right in front of you.
All right, well,
Gosh.
so what is he going to jail for?
Allegedly,
Bank robbery, and like it has something to do with
Allegedly.
stolen
We don't know if
property
he
through
did it.
state lines as well.
Yes.
This is other.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
There he is, dude.
And me and Kobe were talking about it. Do you think he was wearing like the wolf?
When
mask?
he robbed the bank.
Yeah.
1000%. I mean, where else will he have it?
Well, he's a super fan, Cade.
Okay, bro. So on the side of being a super fan, he goes and robs banks for a living. Like, that's the complete opposite thing. Like, I'd picture me living in his parents' basement running the Chiefs account so no one could come to his house, after he sends out a mean tweet or something.
No, he's just robbing banks.
Now he's robbing banks and running from police. If it's that easy, shit. I'm not getting a costume.
It
and
took
start
him
making
4
a-
months to
lifestyle.
find him.
Yeah, I'm gonna like a Red Wings account, dressed as like a freaking octopus.
Octopus.
Yeah.
On that, though, that's all we've got for Division 1 Rejects. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure to send in your names for the all-name team. Also send in, suggest any logos that we should include in the best logos, Division 2 and Division 3. And finally, any suggestions on what teams or conferences you'd like us to cover in the future.